in 2018,
Hmm.
you lost your son, Trevor.
Yes.
Um, there's not a we just talked about there's not a perfect guideline. There's no perfect way of asking the question. I just kind of want to just give you space to talk about that.
I've had a lot of time to think about him, of course, and I look back at his childhood and I see that he, much like I was, his was much more crippling, but he had some social anxiety. And the thing is, like, as a child, I always felt like I gave birth to this little old man. He was one of those people that was just an old soul. And he had such a unique perspective on life and such a, he was brilliant and was probably the funniest person that I know. But he struggled because of that. You know, we talk about connection, and what we need from people is that connection. We want to to feel like we belong somewhere. And Trevor was he tested into the gifted program, which did not surprise me in the least, because what I know about the gifted program is, I mean, I remember people who were like, well, I hope my child is smart enough. And it's not about that. It's not about being bright. It's not about that. It's about looking at things in a different way, learning in a different way, and focusing in a different way. And all of those things make it harder on those kids to connect. And when Trevor was, gosh, he was about 4 years old, I think. I was talking to him, like you would talk to a 4-year old. And I said something like, so when you grow up and you're a daddy, and he was like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. No. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, Mom, I don't like kids now. Why am I going to like them anymore when I'm an adult? And that was a light bulb moment for me, that like, oh, okay, this is he is different. He is unique. Bright children learn very easily. They memorize things easily. Gifted children intuitively know because they reason it out in their heads. So, for a child like that, the schools really don't cater to that type of learning. You didn't write all these steps down for your math problem. Well, I don't need to. Is that the right answer? Well, yes. But he just didn't, you know, he didn't get it, why he had to do that. And so it was a struggle. And then when it was time, he graduated and it was time for him to go to college, he just wasn't real sure that's what he wanted to do. When he was in elementary school, he wanted to live in a van when he grew up, which is also very isolating. When you think about that, you think, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a teacher. I want to live in a van and just go around and see things and do things by myself. So yeah, but at the last minute, he decided to go to college. And I was like, oh, honey, your grades are not great because he did really well in the classes he loved, but not so great in the others. And he's like, yeah, that's okay. He goes, I'll take the SAT. It'll be okay. And I said, okay, great, great. We're gonna do some test prep. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do test prep. And I was like, well, okay, well, this is gonna be a hard lesson for him. It was not. He did great, of course, on the SAT because he guessed as well. And however, that age, the age 18, and that having that big transition to college is often when we see people who have a mental illness. That's when it comes out, when we see it. And that's what happened. He did not transition well, and so we brought him home, and he the first couple of weeks were tough. we was in intensive therapy and was on medication, and I was getting him up every morning and making him eat and making him get out of bed, and what are we going to do today? And I stopped working so I could, just be with him. And then he started getting better. And then, one day he walked out the door, and, I got a call that he was at the hospital. And he had climbed a warehouse at the Port of LA and jumped. And we know now that sometimes when they tend to get better, when they rapidly improve, that's not always a good thing. That sometimes that means they have a plan and that they feel peace about it. And that's why this book is necessary. People need to be aware. It deals with things that people need to know, and it deals with things that people need to know as supporters of somebody who's had suicidal ideation, or somebody who has lost someone to suicide. How to cope with that. Yeah. And that sometimes there is just nothing you can do, And I know that sounds fatalistic, but sometimes that's the case. You miss your window of opportunity, or you don't realize just how ill they are, because who wants to think that their child has suicidal ideation? Yeah. You want your child to get better. You want your family member to improve. You want to look at that and go, oh, there's hope,